Welcome to That's So Clutch, an automotive podcast that bridges the gap between car industry experts and those who are not. Hey everyone, welcome back to That's So Clutch. I'm Alini Ferreira, your host, and today I've got Allan DeHoff, hybrid finance and sales consultant at Austin INFINITI. How are you doing, Allan?
I'm great. Thank you, Alini.
Good. I really appreciate you coming in because I know you're busy. So let me cut right to the chase. You are very good at what you do. You started in the automotive industry in 2001, and after a short break, you joined Austin INFINITI in 2020, and you've been Salesman of the Year 3 years in a row, working on the fourth, while only being there for 3.5 years, which is incredible. That's crazy. And then you have led the company growth in sales the last 2 years and have carried a 980 in CSI, which is a customer satisfaction index. But what does that mean?
We get graded on our performance with the customer, and it's the voice of the customer letting us know how we did. And, it's really important to keep that in the high numbers. So I think
so. What's the highest you can get?
1,000. So
you're like
right there, yeah,
right there, A+.
Couldn't win them all, but I try. I really try really hard to win them all.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, you are a strong player. But what's most amazing is that you've been clean and sober for over 15 years now.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you're married with 3 children. So
Great.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it means a lot.
How have you maintained such a successful status in the automotive industry, even with all the changes it's endured?
I really, really, really like to think that sticking with the basics is really important. I was taught the basics early on. And even today, I just, it starts with the meet and greet. I have to remind myself from time to time that I'm in the people business and not the auto industry.
Yeah.
And it's all about relationships. And if I walk out and I talk to these people and genuinely get to know them, typically, I feel like they like me, and people buy from people they like.
They trust.
Great. Yeah, right,
So you started in 2001, but what actually got you into the automotive industry?
I worked in a detail shop, a car wash, and staying in automotive kind of stuff for 8 years, and then other jobs for other 4, but that was the bulk of it. However, when I got into the business, I literally was putting in swimming pools for my uncle. I was, and it was cold in Kansas, and it was December, and he was keeping me on, like going to the grocery store for him and stuff like that. But we really weren't working. And so I went into Eddie's Toyota in Wichita, Kansas, and I told him I'd be the lot attendant or I would be in sales. And this guy, I can never forget him. His name is Steve Johnston. He had the slick back hair and the $3,000 suit and the probably $20,000 watch or something. But he was really cool. I was like, oh, wow, this guy's very scary, and he goes, what makes you think you can be in sales? And I said, I don't know. Everybody told me I'd be a great salesman. He goes, we'll find out. You start Monday. And I was like, okay. So, yeah, I started on Monday, and that was December 17th. And I had to stay in a sales training for 5 days learning scripts. And one of which was, what's your best price? And I said, what do you mean my best price? And they'd say, I mean your best price on this car. And he goes, sir, I can work on the price and I can work on the payments. What I can't work on is the vehicle you select. Let's establish that. And then you and I can go inside and beat that manager up over price. Fair enough?
Wow. Yeah. You still have that memorized.
Oh, yeah. Beat into me, right? And but yeah, I was Salesman of the Year that year.
What year was that?
That was 2001.
Wow.
And I was, so end of 02, I was Salesman of the Year, and I was making a 6-figure salary with not a formal education. And it was really my way out of Wichita, Kansas.
So how did you end up at Austin INFINITI in 2020?
Oh, great question. Jeff Schneider was a good friend of mine, and he was a manager here at Austin INFINITI. And I was working at a detail shop, car wash, had been for 8 years. And the writing was on the wall. They were flat weeding it and making a condo out of it like they had done a lot in South Austin.
Yeah.
And I texted him and said, man, losing my job over here. And he asked me, do you want to come here? And I really didn't want to get back in the car business because I know the hours that it takes and the dedication that it takes. And I do have young kids. and he said that it was different, that the culture was different, that they encouraged work-life balance and family oriented, and it was locally owned, and
nice.
the Hardimans are great people, and I know them personally. I know they're
it's not just like a big old brand. It's like a family-owned business. So in your experience, what are some common mistakes that car salespeople make, and how can it be avoided?
So I really think that if you walk out and introduce yourself to a client without building rapport, you really have shot yourself in the foot. It's really about relationships and getting to know that person. And I like to use an acronym called FORM: family, occupation, recreation, motivation. So I'd like to ask about their family and what they like to do for fun and what they like to do, or what do they do for a living? And then what motivates them for coming out? They want a bigger car because their family's growing. I'm learning about that customer, and then I can tailor my sale to that customer's particular needs.
Yeah.
I think that's huge. I really
do.
And
that's so smart too, because you kind of like hit all the bases. So it's like, oh, okay, you're growing your family, so maybe you'll want to go into a bigger car, like you said. Like that makes a lot more sense. So what role does product knowledge play in the art of selling cars?
I think that a person should have a really good know of his product. I really do, but or she. Thank you. But the truth of the matter is I've known a lot of people that really knew all the technical nut and bolt. It's this horsepower, that horsepower.
Yeah.
But again, if you go back and you learn about the customer, a lot of people don't want to hear about 0 to 60 in 3 seconds or whatever it is. It's more painting pictures for the customers. Everyday use is far more effective in my world. But I do know about the engines, and I do know about the transmission and the, headroom, legroom, hip room, stuff like that. But if I step in there and they get to see it and see the headroom and stuff like that, it has a
and you're not
going to
be like, this vehicle has 980 cubic square feet. They're going to be like,
what
are you talking about?
Yeah, right. I'm 5'11". I jump in the third row seat. I got plenty of legroom and hit room. So
that makes more sense. Yeah. I was actually talking to my boyfriend's aunt the other day, and she is older, like it's his great aunt. So she and her husband, they don't have little children anymore, or like a big family, but they got a Subaru Ascent.
Yeah.
And she was like, the salesman was really nice, but he was telling me about how it has 16 cup holders. And she turned to him and she was like, I don't think I'm going to really buy a vehicle based on the 16 cup holders.
My point exactly.
So really just
know your audience.
Yeah, it depends on who you're pitching to, I guess.
Who you selling. Yeah, learning that is really, really important.
So how do you keep track of all the latest features and updates and technology in these vehicles? Because they're like changing every year.
All the time, I read a lot of articles. We do have some training through
cool.
Infinity that updates you on your specific product line. If they have a new launch of something, they'll even send somebody out to do a walk around on it. And I like to engage my fellow sales consultants, especially younger guys, and see them do it. And ask them to do a walk around in front of me, and I do a walk around in front of them, and just polish our skills and
rehearsing almost.
Yeah, exactly, and picking up some stuff that they're using and I'm using, and it's training's key for that.
That's so cool. So it's really like a team type of thing, not like a every man for himself.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes you don't think you're going to learn something from somebody, and I'll be dang, that's a nugget.
So what's the most memorable test drive experience that you've had with a customer?
Wow. Man, I remember it was a couple of years ago, and we had like a Porsche 911 supercar or something, and this young man came in, and we took the test drive, and I have never gripped the door handle harder on a test drive than riding with that kid. Oh my gosh! We took a turn it entirely way too fast, and I was really like, okay, I can't wait to get back to the dealership. So that
were you like slow down, or were you like, do you like this car?
No, I was like a little of both. Like, oh God, please don't wreck this car, sir. Please don't wreck. But anyway,
what happens if someone does wreck it?
We have insurance for that. Hopefully nobody
Okay.
gets hurt. But it was a really, really fast test drive, and we got out, and I didn't get down and kiss the ground or anything like that. But I was so happy to be on
You were
solid
like
ground again. Yeah.
shaking.
He bought the car,
Oh, well, that's great.
so at the end of the
Successful
day,
test
all
drive.
is yeah.
So can you share any insider tips or tricks for negotiating the best deal?
I think buying from a reputable dealership, coming in and buying from a 5-star dealership like one of ours in CAG is very important, because we're going to run everything through at least 130-point inspection, make sure that car checks out, and probably negotiating the car first, then checking on your trade-in second, and then going to your financing third. If you break it up into 3 parts like that, it probably will benefit you in doing the process. So you can focus on a price of the car. We can agree on that, and then agree on a price for my trade-in, and then we agree on that, and then go to rate. Where you're going to get your money from.
Yeah.
And securing a good competitive rate at the end of the day. And
Yeah. So what's the most challenging aspect of your job as a car salesperson?
the hours that you have to work, of course. I'm at least a 50-hour work week. I'm working at home from a lot, and work-life balance, I think, is really important, especially when you have 3 kids at home. I've got a 5.5-year-old, a 3.5, and a 10-month-old. And just having balance, taking family time, going on vacations, that kind of thing, because you can really get wrapped up in it. And,
Well, and I feel like, based on other podcasts that we've hosted before, you guys aren't just car salespeople. They aren't just like clocking in 9 to 5. It's like you're there, you're on call for whatever a customer needs. So if
Exactly.
I saw you a couple of weeks back on the phone with a customer because he had a problem with a car he had just bought, and you were like, "This is how you fix it," and he was confused, and you were like, he's like calling every 30 minutes, and you're like, "This is how you fix it. This is how you fix it."
Yeah.
Like, you're on call no matter what.
No matter what. My
It's
wife
crazy.
she really wants me to just put that on silent when I walk in the door, but I really feel like I can't. So
You're like, "I'm sorry, babe.
yeah,
This is the life."
Yeah, this is the life.
You
This is
want
what-
all this?
You
This
married
is the
in.
life.
This is it. We got 1,100 square feet in South Austin. That mansion.
So, as a hybrid, you eliminate the need to have multiple people in on a deal, which is great because as a hybrid, you're both the salesperson and the finance person. Did you find that transition hard?
I didn't know. I thought it was going to be harder. Of course, I painted a picture that it was going to be this insurmountable mountain. My general manager, Andrew Burrow, that was his vision, that we all go to hybrid sales positions so that we can take that client from the start to the finish without streamlining it. And it doesn't have to take 4.5, 5 hours to sell you a car. You can literally come in, we can test drive, we can agree on the car, and I can have you in and out in under 2 hours.
Yeah.
Is usually my goal. Especially if they got kids, people are getting hungry, things like that. But I found that the customer really, really likes that. They don't have to wait in line to get into the finance office. I am the finance office. They don't.
Did you have to learn anything for that?
Absolutely, yeah. I had to. You pick up a lot of things along the way, but contracts in the back were getting to know what's being signed for what, the trade docs, the purchase docs, the
Making
contract
sure
for the
everything's
rate,
Yeah.
the term, all of that, being able to explain that to the customer, and then going over all the extended service contracts, gap insurance, the things that are being sold in the back now. So I'm doing that as well. So, but at the end of the day, the client's the most important piece of the puzzle, and hopefully by having a hybrid position that we're enhancing the experience for the customer.
Do you think that if more dealerships implemented the hybrid method, it would make a dealership less scary?
I think so, yeah. I really do. I have found that I don't know that everybody can do the hybrid position. I don't know that that's for everybody. So there may be a need for a finance office, maybe for half or something like that.
Is Austin INFINITI fully hybrids, or is it?
I think we were trying to get there, and I think we were 80% there. And
Okay.
So anyway, maybe it's a work in progress. So hopefully we can get that.
all the way there.
Yeah.
If you could tell your younger self one thing, what would it be?
Man,
This is my last question. So
wow. Man, my younger self, I'd probably say to listen more and talk less, and take advice from people who had been there and done that. I guess that's part of being young and going through it. But man, I didn't have to really take the bumps that I did along the road. I could have got off on that elevator ride, whatever I was doing, at a lot higher floor than I maybe did on a few instances.
Yeah.
So, but I'm in sales, so it worked out for me.
Learn from the wise.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
Man, you do such a great job, Elena. It's awesome.
Thank you so much. You do a great job too.
Thanks.
All right, that's all we have for y'all. I hope you enjoyed this episode of That's So Clutch. As always, if you have any questions about the automotive industry, please feel free to leave them down below, and maybe we'll feature them in the next video. See ya.